I'm Bruce Lorincz, and this show is called Bruce on the Loose. I talk to people throughout Wadsworth and city government, the school system, and businesses recently. We talked to Dr. Andy Hill about what was going on in the schools. We did a show last week on Santee Landing on Seville Road, very interesting show, and Meals on Wheels out of Trinity Church. We have Cindy Farver with us today, the president of the Salvation Army Women's Auxiliary. Make sure I get that right. And Kathy Lewton, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. And Cindy, when did you first get involved in the Salvation Army Women's Auxiliary?
Bruce, it was, and I can tell you because I wrote it down, September 16th, 2006 is when we had our inaugural meeting. And Kathy Hall, who was the president, and she invited ladies that she knew from around the community to come, and we signed in on the book, and we were official members of the Salvation Army Women's Auxiliary on that date. So 2006.
What motivated you to put yourself out there and join this group?
Well, I think you know Kathy Hall very well, and she's a great motivator. So it was just, we want to help the community in many different ways, and that's just how she put it to me. So that was of my interest, and I joined and been there ever since.
And your tenure as the president of this august
body? Oh my gosh,
body?
I try and figure that out all the time, but I want to say 10 years now.
Okay.
At least.
Yes.
If not longer.
Mm-hmm.
And what are some of the tasks responsible by the president?
We have, COVID kind of slowed down everything, but before that, and now starting back again, we have executive board meetings quarterly. We have meetings once a month, except for December, and so I run those meetings. And I'm just ex officio of every single thing that happens with the Women's Auxiliary.
Would you be welcome to new people joining and helping out with their people moving into Wadsworth at various facilities, or building homes, or building all over Wadsworth? Could you use a couple more hands?
Always. And people that already live in Wadsworth, you'd be surprised. Every once in a while we'll have a meeting where we invite our women to bring friends, and they do, and they join.
Kathy Lewton, you're the secretary-treasurer of the group, and I think you have a little background in education. Is that correct?
Just a little bit. You and I worked together at the middle school for a good number of years.
We had a good time, no
Yes.
question about it. What about the education wing or the arm of the Salvation Army? How could you comment about that?
It's quite encompassing, actually. We, first of all, have a learning center that deals with children grades 1 through 6. It's on a referral basis, operating 4 days a week with 2 tutors that are helping kids just get that little bit of extra attention that sometimes they need, and a little bit of loving, and they do fun stuff too. Then we have our care team at the middle school, referral based, and once again helping those middle school students that you and I know and love with not only studies, but social skills, life skills, organizational skills, things that will serve them well in life. And I don't want to leave out our GED program that operates Tuesdays and Thursdays in the Army building. And so if anyone out there is looking to get their high school equivalency, please come see us.
So it sounds like you have not forgotten any group. The little ones, you try to get, and sometimes, and I was an Oasis tutor for a few years, sometimes little things help them. Just the positivity of other people really helps them. The middle schoolers, as we know, some are 6'2", we're looking up at, some just very immature.
Yes.
And others, people choosing a different path and getting their GED is very important. That opens a lot of doors, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Might I add one more thing?
Sure.
We also have that summer academic day camp.
Thank you. Yes.
And this is to help prevent that summer learning slide.
What about the drive right before school? I know some of the churches have been involved with collecting school supplies, paper, pencils, rulers and things. That probably really helps the students and gets them off to a good start.
As retired teachers, we certainly appreciate that. The young lady that coordinates the back to school program, Jill Jones, she is a teacher as well. The students go back to school so well prepared. They have everything on those teachers' lists. It is incredible. They don't just get a pack of paper, a backpack, pencils, pens. They get all kinds of really interesting stuff. So whether it's, special colored pencils or a special eraser, different teachers have different needs and they want their students to succeed, and so do we. So we serve hundreds of students every August.
Important to get that glue to make sure that those art projects are kind of together.
That's right.
And glitter glue too.
And then there's washable and non-washable, don't forget.
What about, Kathy, what about the churches? How have they stepped up to the plate and helped the Salvation Army over the years?
I have to tell you, as we know, Wadsworth is a city unmatched, and how the churches collaborate with the Salvation Army, which is a church itself, for those that might not know that. The cooperation in town is unbelievable, from providing supplies like for back to school or canned goods at the Christmas distribution to providing facilities. Our learning center is currently housed at First Christian. Discovery Church out on Reimer Road opened up their parking lot for our food bank pop-up because we were doing Christmas at the Army and there was no way we could have all that traffic coming through our Army parking lot. It's wonderful to see. It's heartwarming. We talked before we started the show a little bit about how social media can be positive. And so even with our Facebook page, we're promoting each other. The St. Vincent de Paul laundry, free laundry, just across the street from the Army building. Or Discovery Church also has a food distribution and clothing distribution day once a month. So yes, there's definitely cooperation among the churches with the Salvation Army.
A little bit down the road is the Easter Bunny coming to town, I guess, and that's a fundraiser for the Salvation Army. Could you tell us about that, Kathy?
This will only be our second brunch with the bunny, but the first one was so fabulously successful that another community partner, Bueller, said, please, please come back. So we're coming back Saturday, April 8th. Thank you. I just wanted to verify that date. And it's going to be a morning breakfast, and the bunny shows up, and there's take-home bags, and there's usually an activity at the table. The food is yummy. The servers at Bueller's just go out of their way to make everyone feel welcome.
So it's just not the churches. You have support of grocery stores and other establishments in town to augment what the Salvation Army does.
Correct. And that continues, and we continue to find new partners.
Cindy, what about the relationship between Ashley Farrell, the captain? I made the mistake calling her lieutenant. She corrected me right away.
She earned her stripes.
Yes, she did.
She did. How is that rapport developed? And she's only been in town for several months, I think the spring.
July. She came in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is that, and how do you work cohesively together?
Ashley is the heartbeat of the Wadsworth Salvation Army. She is at all the meetings that we have. Of course, she has a say in the things that we do, which is usually an approval. But she is just there as support for whatever the auxiliary needs.
And she did have a background in Barberton, I think, and we talked about the difference, and she really said a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. Right. And it helps to have someone with a little background and knowledge about how to proceed forward.
Exactly. She has already brought so many different programs to the Wadsworth Salvation Army. It's just amazing. She has something that she calls Connect, and it is family-oriented, community events. Right now she is doing painting on Friday nights for 4 weeks. Then she's going to be doing yoga for 4 weeks. So there's all types of programs that she's brought to the Wadsworth.
How long do you have to plan in advance of some of these activities, like the Easter Bunny and some other things you traditionally do?
I was once told by a wise woman that you need at least 6 months to plan something correctly.
Yeah, I think that's true, because there could be some things come up like a little thing like COVID, or something that would put you off a little bit, or something that you really didn't plan for.
Exactly right.
What about? Let me ask you next. How about the excitement? You talked about the crowdedness. Earlier we talked about we couldn't do the parking lot is very small.
Right.
The new facility. Now we took a look at the land there. I would imagine the auxiliary and the people that work for the Salvation Army are so excited about the potential down the road of a new building.
You cannot even imagine the excitement there is. I'm also part of the Capital Campaign Committee, and we meet once every 2 or 3 weeks. And the men on that committee are just amazing with the fundraising they've done and whatnot. And this has tried to happen in the past, and it never has, but this time it is going to happen. So we are so very excited to be able to have the space. If you could go down to the Army right now and look at how crowded it is with us trying to get the Style Show together, which we're having on March 4th, you can't move because it's so crowded. At Christmas time, you can't move.
Well, a lot of items are coming in.
Absolutely.
I was there, and you have people coming in. You have people coming in for, and I guess even you, Kathy, you had to move the education wing to the First Christian Church.
Correct.
Because you didn't have room
Correct.
to do it there.
Right.
Am I
Correct.
right? Okay.
Correct. Correct.
So really, the new facility is going to bring everything back to the College Street address, and then you talk about new programs. There could be more programs added
Exactly
if you
right.
have the space.
Exactly.
And I think
right.
they're already daydreaming and envisioning and planning for, what will it look like and what kind of spaces do we need moving forward as the architects were drawing up plans. Absolutely.
Speaking of the architects, I understand, like the school system with a 5th and 6th grade building, Dr. Hill told us that there were some cost overruns, and the estimate was, I think he said 27% higher than what they
yes.
anticipated.
Yes.
So I understand also that was faced with the Salvation Army, that what was allocated had to be moved up.
At first, the budget was $3 million.
Right.
It is now at $3.5 million.
So that's just with supplies and materials and the cost.
Everything.
And that's not even including the land. The land.
Exactly.
One of the houses, I believe, was donated
Yes.
to the Salvation
Yes.
Army. The other
Yes.
you purchased. So
Right.
that's just the materials and getting the facility up.
That's correct.
What, Cindy, what role do you play in selecting a new leader?
Absolutely none.
No.
That's the brutal truth.
I'm a little surprised by that, but since you have to work with her, I would
Right.
think you would be.
No.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive about
Okay.
that. Divisional headquarters
Okay. All right.
handles that.
All right. And what do you have any input at all to say, hey, we'd like someone effervescent
No.
and you what?
Nothing. We get what we get.
Okay. All right. Kathy, what about, we talked briefly about COVID-19. It was really a struggle. It was a struggle for the schools, hospitals, struggle for stores, and the Salvation Army. How did you get through that? And we're still seeing, still people get that occasionally, but not nearly what it was during 2020.
I was so impressed with how quickly the Wadsworth Salvation Army mobilized. It was, I kid you not, a day or two after the governor shut Ohio down, and we had a kids stock up lunch program that served children for months and months and months. Not a week, not a one-time thing, but just an ongoing distribution. It was awesome. We served our clients in the parking lot safely. So back to school still happened. Christmas still happened. Food pantry service still happened, but safely in the parking lot, which was, I thought, a very clever way to handle that. What else happened during COVID? It was really interesting too to me as I was looking back and reflecting. Donations were up. So in this city that's unmatched, people saw a need and they stepped up with money and with goods.
We constantly had people bringing food down to the Army. They would collect at their workplace. They'd collect money, and then somebody would go out and buy the food.
And on your direction, you told them, hey,
No.
let's do this?
No, they did it on their own.
Oh my!
They did it on their own.
That's really impressive that they would do that and again assist. That they knew that there was a need there, and they went out. What about, since you talked about cans and collecting? What about meals? How many meals does the Salvation Army serve, maybe on a monthly basis?
Can I take that?
Yes, you may.
Okay. All right. See, it's division of labor here, right?
I am prepared.
Okay, I'm not surprised.
Food, thank you. Food comes to our clients in many different ways. So we have our soup kitchen that meets at the Wadsworth Tower on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. 35 meals disappear in a matter of minutes.
Every Tuesday?
Every
Okay,
Tuesday.
all right.
You don't have to live at the tower. It's open to everyone. We advertise on social media, but the meals go quickly. One of the favorite parts of the meal, people tell us, are the home-baked goodies that the auxiliary makes for those meals. We have, with the new officer, we have a new Army market just inside our back door, and every day of the week, Monday through Friday, but not Tuesday because that's soup kitchen day, they can come in and get whatever goods are out on the market table. So we get donations from local grocery stores, we get donations from folks, farmers, dairy people, eggs will show up, milk will show up, and so people can come in and help themselves to that. We are serving about 500 folks a month through this market pantry coming in the back door. We recently hooked up with the Akron Canton Food Bank. It's been a wonderful program and provides us with a steady stream of goods that we put in our food pantry, but also once a month now, the pop-up truck comes, and it is fascinating to see what's in this refrigerated truck, and from month to month, you never know what's going to be in there. We served a record number of 135 families this last month. So the only other thing I can think of is the monthly pantry appointments. And you schedule an appointment with Candy, our social services lady, and she talks with you and she packs up a bag. Or Cindy, you're more familiar with what the pantry hands out.
Right. Just bags of whatever we have in the pantry. Canned goods, it could be cereal, pancake, breakfast materials. Candy always tries to give them fresh meat, that type of thing. So something that will put something in their bellies and keep them full.
It's not like the families are refusing to work. We have
No.
certainly a lot of people working at minimum wage, and with inflation, very, very difficult to keep up with the rising costs of gasoline. Fluctuates. It's up
Absolutely.
and down. You never know where it's going to be, but it's a situation where they need the extra help, and it really gets them through times that
Very
are
true.
very trying, especially if they have several children along
Right,
the way as well.
right.
All right, we talked about the March 4, big fundraiser. Let's get into that a little bit. Is it a style show?
Yes,
Okay.
we call it our Swing into Spring style show.
Okay.
It's also a silent auction and a ticket auction. Okay. Here's another one of the examples of how we pair with the community. Kohl's supplies the clothing. We supply models, they supply models. Tim Hissner, who is one of their managers, always is our MC. And that's just a small part of the day, okay? When the ladies get there in the morning, they open, at the Galaxy, they open the room, and there is table after table of baskets that have been prepared, donated by people, by businesses in the community for our silent auction. We also have a table that we call a ticket auction. Anything on that ticket auction is $50 or less in value. You buy tickets, you just put your ticket in a little bowl, we draw the name out, and that's the winner of that. The silent auction, you have to bid.
So it sounds like you have a lot of different things going on at the same
do.
time, and it goes from when does the doors open in the morning?
We open the doors about 9 o'clock.
9
We
o'clock.
serve lunch at about 11. Then we have the style show. It's all over by 2 o'clock.
Okay, wow, it sounds
Yeah,
like a lot
yeah.
of different, and you talk about planning, and with all those aspects, and again, you're getting help from Kohl's,
Yes.
and certainly donations from various people and businesses and corporations, and it has to, in the end, make you feel really good. And do you have a goal? Would you like to make a certain amount of money, or whatever you pull in is good? But
Whatever we pull in is good. We've made up to $11,000 before
Wow.
on this event. We're happy with whatever it brings in.
And that goes a long way to, as Kathy was talking about, the educational program and the food distribution and cooking, and that really goes a long way to help families along the way.
Absolutely, it does. It does.
What about the families of Wadsworth? How appreciative are they, Cindy, with the help that they have received?
Bruce, I cannot tell you the number of times I've gone into the parking lot to give food or at Christmas time when parents have tears in their eyes. To take a bicycle out to a car for a child that wanted one for Christmas, and the parent is bawling their eyeballs out because they can't believe that somebody has been so generous to give their child a bicycle at Christmas time. It's just amazing.
And I'm sure the impact, it's not like we're writing a check for, the earthquake victims.
Right.
We actually can see the gratitude on people's part. And
Oh,
Kathy,
absolutely.
it has to melt your heart.
I think that's a lot of why we're there, because we see the need. The folks go away feeling good, but it warms our hearts as well. There are just so many anecdotes that we could share, and we don't have time. But at back to school, for example, a little girl will pick up her backpack and she'll go, "Oh, it's a unicorn! I love unicorns!" Or we were handing out pajamas for back to school from PJs from Grandma, another local wonderful nonprofit. And we had this random pair of Harry Potter pajamas, and we said, there is a child out there for whom these pajamas are destined. And son of a gun, we're talking to this little child, and I don't even remember if it was boy or girl because it doesn't matter. That child said, "Oh yes, I love Harry Potter," and the jammies were the right size. So we have story after story, Bruce.
Lauren was a big fan of the unicorn. She always, so I'll have to have her watch and chuckle about that. But it certainly is something that the schools have really helped as well. We talked about the churches, the schools really know that there are students that could use a little extra help along the way, and they've been very helpful as well, I should imagine, right, Kathy?
Absolutely, and not only is the school watching out for their students and sending them to us for that little bit of extra love and attention, but at Christmas, for our Christmas distribution that once again serves hundreds of people, from seniors down to infants, the school used to collect canned goods. Now they collect monies that then we go and can go to the grocery store or Sam's Club and buy in bulk and serve all these families and give them, a warm, fuzzy Christmas that they might not otherwise have had.
The carpentry class at the high school,
Oh yes,
they're
invaluable.
Yeah, Chris Kalai, and who has since retired, but he and the carpentry students take boxes of food to like Manoir and various places like that and carry it up to the door, give it to the person. So the schools are invaluable to us. It's just amazing what they do.
So it sounds like you do a little more than put a little red kettle out at Christmas time.
Oh, yes.
That's the impression a lot of people get, and I hope, if nothing else today, we've learned that you do a lot of things for a lot of people, and we have a lot of new people coming to Wadsworth. I
Right.
see all the building, and sometimes could they be helped by the Salvation Army?
Absolutely. All they have to do is come down, make a phone call, and if they need food or whatever, they make an appointment with Candy and they can get it. At Christmas time and back to school, we do online registration. So, and if they don't have a computer to do that, we ask them to come down, we fill out the forms for them.
What about the style show? Has it been sold out yet? Could we
It is
still?
not, you
Oh,
can still buy a
get
ticket,
tickets?
Bruce.
Okay.
You
All
can
right.
still buy a ticket.
Okay.
Well, we don't have tickets, we have reservations.
Right. Reservations.
Yes.
Was it a certain time that did you have blocked off, or could you come early when it opens at 9? Or?
We need to know beforehand if
Okay.
you're coming because of food.
Right. Okay.
Because food is served at this. So I would say a day before we
Okay.
would accept your money
All right.
for your reservation.
And
Yes,
what
sir.
what has been the largest number of turnout in past years? Do you have any idea?
275.
Okay, 275. So
We're over 100 right now.
Okay.
I think we haven't had it since COVID.
Oh, okay.
This is
So-
our 13th style show.
Well, that's a lucky number.
Well, and that's what it's called, Lucky and Blessed. But that's the one we tried to have in 2020 too, and it didn't work. So, but anyway, so this is our 13th style show, Lucky and Blessed. We invite anybody and everybody in the community to call the Salvation Army and reserve a ticket.
Kathy, really, it would behoove everyone to kind of think about that and put that on their dance card that day. It really helps a lot of people, doesn't it?
I continue to be impressed by the small, cramped building that we operate out of. how many people we serve in so many different ways, So yes, if you could come and join us, it'll be a feel-good day for you, and then down the road, a feel-good days for so many folks in town.
So it sounds like you're, again, getting ready for the foundation for the new facility, and it sounds like you could really do a lot more for the community with a building that has more square footage.
Right, and is appropriately designed.
And we could do it with ease.
Yeah.
and it's, if people certainly get services now, they're not going to travel too far. It's right next door.
Right,
And
exactly.
I guess the old building, it's going to be some storage for a while, but basically down the road it may be raised.
It will be, because that
Okay.
will be the parking lot.
Oh, it could be a parking lot. So
Right, yeah.
if you have any activity, you have a little bigger
Yes,
parking
exactly.
lot to do some things
Exactly.
as you've done in the past. So.
And we have done big programs in the parking lot for back to school. They don't only come and get their backpack, but we'll have bouncy houses and music and service providers. The list just goes on and on of what we can do even in a bigger parking lot.
Ladies, thank you very much. The time went very, very quickly, but we did cover many things of the Salvation Army and Women's Auxiliary, and the leadership that you provide, you sure should be commended for all your activities. Thank you very much. And thanks for viewing Bruce on the Loose, and we will have a show next week for you. Thank you.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.